Okay, so let's start creating something in Houdini and try to render our first scene. Okay. So, yep. So what I'll do is jump to my front view by clicking on Shift 3. And you can see there is a front view here. Okay. I'm going to create a curve. So you can create a curve either by either in the your network view or in the viewport. Okay, so I can hit tab and type in curve. Okay, I'm going to create something with a curve. Now as soon as you create curve, you'll see this kind of a lot of information here. Probably I don't need it here. I can click on Shift F1 to hide the information for a while. Okay, and again gives me a dot to start off with. Okay, and if you see that you have a node here in the network view, and you will also have the primitive type to Bezier curve. I don't need my primitive type to Bezier curve. I need it to be a good old polygon. Okay, so I'll keep it to polygon and start creating something. I'll keep my reference of this center line, my 0 grid center line over here, and start creating something. So I'll start by clicking here and shift click so that I have a very straight line. To space it equally. Kind of end it here. Okay. To terminate the command, I'll hit enter. Okay, so by hitting enter, you can come out. Okay, if you want to add points, say for example, I want this. It's basically what I'm doing is creating a half side of the goblet here, and maybe then I'll revolve it. Okay, that's what I'm going to do. So what I'll do here is by control clicking, I can add an extra points wherever I need this to be a little sharper. So probably I need it here. Okay, I need it here. This region, need it here, need it here. So at any point in time, you can just go on adding extra points wherever you require them to be. I'm just adding few here. Okay. All right. Once you're done, say if you want to manipulate those points, I can click on the move. I can click on the move and the manipulator. If I click on the manipulator, I'll go back to uh, the creation mode. If I click on the select mode, I won't see anything. It will be in select mode. If I click on the move mode, I will be in the move mode. Okay. Yep. So what am I going to do in here is if I select my curve and go to my go to the points mode, I will start to see my points. Okay. And then you can select each one of this, hit T, and I can manipulate if I need it to be. Okay, if I want it to be manipulated. But you can see as soon as you start transforming the points, you will see that there is an edit node which comes. Okay, so probably I don't want the edit nodes. It just gets created there. So I don't want the edit node to be there. I'll just delete it. Right. But then I don't want the this glass which I'm creating, okay, to be having sharp edges. Okay, So for that, what I will be doing is I'll be using something called as subdivide. Okay, a node which is called as subdivide. Okay, is going to smoothen it out. So if I take a look at my points now by clicking on the display points here, I will see that they're much more smooth, and I could add more if I wish to. Okay, see. So it's quite a bit smooth now. Okay, I'll just skip it and probably do apply something called as a revolve after this. Okay, so there is a revolve node. Okay, so that gives me a revolve node to work with. Okay, so I can jump to my perspective view back again. Let me turn off my points from here, and then by selecting the revolve node, what I will do is I will add much many more divisions here, so it gives me a kind of a nice smooth glass surface there. All right. So that's the glass surface. What I will do is just to kind of finalize this, I will add a node called as none. Okay, which will represent kind of a final output for the glass. Okay, so I'll call this as an output. All right, will come out in my geometry node and also call this as a glass. That's important. Okay, so next thing what I'm going to do now, remember my front axis is Z, guys. Okay, my front axis is Z. Okay, I of course I want the glass to be on the ground. It's still not exactly on the ground. So what I will do is, even before I apply the output glass, what I will do is try to use something called as match axis. Okay, another node, another helpful node. I'll just put it in between. Okay, oh, I'm sorry, not match axis. Match size. Okay, so just put it in between. Okay, and then you can see it actually shifts at the center, but I want the base to be at the center, so I'm going to use the justify y as minimum. Okay, so that it stands exactly at the uh, base. Okay, all right, so now let's render this. If I move in the front view, I would like this to be I will also require some background to this. So I create a background. I will create a grid node by control clicking on the grid here, and I'm going to also add a little subdivisions. What I'll do is turn on my wireframe shader so I can see the resolution. Okay, I'll just add a bit of a resolution. Let's keep it, let's make it, let's say 50 or something. 50. Also add a bent node. Right, and then just increase the angle. This, okay, there it is. Kind of have the angle placed like this. I'll also use a transform. Kind of rotate it. And so move it a bit behind, and then probably use a bit of a more bend. Okay. All right, so that's good enough. So once I have my glass done, this I will call it as, let's say, BG. Okay. I will also have my camera placed. Okay, but I'll place my camera a little later because we will not be rendering in mantra. We'll be rendering it in karma. So leave it. We'll be taking a look at it in later. Okay. All right. So what next? Next is I will want this object to get its to get its shaders. Okay. Also want it to be rendered. Right? So I'll be rendering it in a different context altogether. Okay. I'll be rendering it in stage context. So to do that, rather than actually changing it from here, what I'll do is go to um, the desktop here, and I'll change my desktop to, let's say, Solaris. Okay, so it will change my user interface to something different like this. Okay, uh, so basically kind of a layout which will be helpful for me to render it in Karma. Okay, all right. But immediately after changing, you'll see that your objects are nowhere. Remember, they are in the object context. So for example, if you take a look here, it's right now you're in the stage context. So there's nothing. Okay, there is no objects. Okay, the objects are only in object context. Now I'll need to call my uh, meshes here in the stage. Okay, so for that I'll be using a node which is called as stop. Okay, called as SOP create. So either I can use SOP create, I can use SOP import, whichever one I want to. Okay, I'll just create both of them. I'll just create a SOP create. Let's say SOP import either. Okay, you can use either. What I'll do is use a SOP import. Okay, and I will need to import two objects of mine. Okay, so what I will do is use a SOP import another one. Okay, and here it gives me the SOP path. Okay, so I'll choose my SOP. So you remember I named this. I'll choose glass, accept. Right. So choose. There's my SOP. Okay, I'll also choose the BG. Okay, so both of them together. So I have a SOP object as well as the. What I'll do is also use merge along with it, so we can see both of them together. There. Okay. All right. So next thing is I want this to be shaded, in the sense I need to apply some kinds of shading to this so that this looks like a glass. I have BG, I can have some kind of a shader on the BG also. So for that, what I'm going to do is use something called as material library. Okay. So what am I going to do in material library is create a shader here. Okay. So go maybe choose this principal shader. All right, I'll call this as, let's say, glass. Create one for the glass, and maybe all drag. Create a duplicate for this and call this as, let's say, BG. So I'm going to create two shaders for each one of them. All right. Fine. So this, just to save time, won't be experimenting with the values. I will just directly use a preset glass from here, and for this maybe something like clay will do. Okay, for the BG. All right. So that's done in the material library. Now I need to assign it to our meshes. So use assign material, and then hook it here. Okay. And then in the assign material, I need to specify my geometry. Okay, so I have two mesh here. That is one is uh, the SOP import one, which is basically the BG, and you have a SOP import 2, which is a glass. You can rename them, of course. I'll just very quickly rename them. Okay, so SOP BG underscore, call this as, let's say, that's a glass. Okay, and then you can have the corresponding names for that. Okay, here. So what am I going to do is, first let's assign the mesh that is for the class. Okay, so take this and assign it here. Okay, so I have assigned the mesh and specified that this is the mesh. Now for that mesh, I will assign its corresponding material path. Okay, from here. So it will be the material, which is glass material. Okay, so I'll click on it. Okay, and apply this. Okay, so that is pick there, so that it will pick up that material. Right? So for the second one, for the second BG, what I will do is just add one more BG over here. Okay, one more metal binding for the BG. Okay, and then take this, apply it here. Okay, that is input one BG. All right, so glass. For BG, I'll be selecting the BG. Apply. Okay. All right, so both the materials has been assigned with the help of assign material node. Okay. I will also need to create probably a light too in here. So because there's no light, I will need to create a light and maybe use a light like, let's say, create lights, and I'll be using an environmental light. Okay, so that for the environmental light, a light, I will need some kind of an HDRI. So I'll choose my HDRI there. Choose. Yep. Okay, so let's turn on the flag for that. That's washed up. No issues with that. It's not an issue. And of course, again, now I will have to use some kind of camera to look at this. Okay, so temporarily let's switch to this uh, and choose. Let's go to the wireframe mode. Okay, by clicking on W, and I'm going to create a camera from this view. Okay, so new camera. Placed a camera. All right, I'll just lock the camera and just zoom in a bit closer. Fine. Okay, so let's try to render this and take a look what exactly is happening here. Okay, but before rendering, of course, yes, we'll need to use a render which is called as karma. So I'll hook the karma node at the end here. Just turn on the flag for it. All the rendering setting can be managed later, but right now I just want to check whether how it will render. So I'm going to choose right in the menu over here. I'm going to choose karma. Okay, just to check. Okay, okay, how the render uh, is behaving. Okay, use the intensity a bit. Yeah, there it is started to render. I think one was the correct of intensity. Mm, This side. So let's actually pause for a while, and then once this is done, we can come back and check this, right? Yes. So after about 7 minutes of rendering, it's giving me this output. I probably still think that we can have a little bit more sample increase in here, light sample quality also increase, so that uh, uh, whatever darkness which I'm getting here can be removed. Okay. So this is the kind of output we are having, guys. So this is a good uh, scene to start off with. You people can try this out once. All right. Let's take care. Bye.